And I'm sure that there's a lot of women in this church right now that are being called and they think they can't make it. But all it takes is that first step forward in faith, and God will do the rest. My name is MaryJoy Van Norman, and I'm 93 years old now. I'm a missionary from Christ Church at Grove Farms. I was born in Fallensby, West Virginia, and I was the fifth child. We had a comparatively happy childhood, and we went to church every Sunday morning. I went to the Wednesday night program, and I went to Sunday night's program, and it was one of those times that I knelt down at the altar, and I can still take you back and where I knelt at that altar. I gave my life to Christ. Soon after that, when I was about 8 years old, my father died, and all of that stopped, of course. My mother picked up with an alcoholic man. He was drunk from time to time, and he was abusive. And one time he beat me till I was down on the floor. And after that, I had to take a cloth and wipe up the floor. I was probably 11, maybe going on 12 years old, and I took my sister, my younger sister, she's 4 years younger than me, and I boarded the bus and I went back to the children's home. God blessed us there. We had enough to eat. We were never scared. Every worker there was a Christian person. Soon after that, I met my husband. And I got married when I was 17, and when I was 19, my first baby was born. I divorced my husband. I married this other man, still out of church, not equally yoked. But I lived with that husband for 37 years, and he died. I always went to church, always paid my tithe, but I always had one foot in church and one foot out. One day I heard John Guest speak on the radio telling, he was asking for missionaries to go to Africa. And I knew that was the place that God was calling me. And I called Eileen, and do you take people 75 years old? She said, oh yeah. She says, come along. When I was going to the meeting, I met my husband there. In January the 29th, we were married in a big church wedding. And my husband and I talked many, many times that God had a pattern for our life. And of course, my husband's wife had died, my husband died, and God put us together, and we went to Africa together in April. We talked about it, and we decided to stay for 6 months, and we stayed in the village with the Ugandan people, and I taught some of the girls.
How many trips have you taken to Uganda?
Every other year. Yeah, I would say at least 10 times. And we're going to go back in May. Well, I want to talk to the women here in this church that think that they're done because they've become 65 and they're retiring. I retired from nursing when I was 75 years old, but I've never retired for Jesus. I hope that I can continue my life and stay in Jesus. And I wanted to say that where He leads me, I will follow. Where He leads me, I will follow. Where He leads me, I will follow. I'll go with Him all the way.